Okay, I think we're live. Man, this hair though. I really need a haircut. Oh well, doing the best I can. I mean, I could bring it out a little bit. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. That's some quarantine hair there. Oh boy, it's bringing me back to high school. Jeez. How's everybody doing? Everybody's surviving all right? Everybody's having a good time? Hopefully everybody's having a good evening. It's Sunday, 7 o'clock here in Ontario, so hopefully everybody's doing all right. Yeah, this one's going to be just a chill time, listening to some Lazuli. This one's going out to Grace, so I'm going to take this opportunity right off the bat just to, as everybody's kind of trickling on in, to thank my sponsor, not my sponsors, but to thank my patrons. And this one's going out today for Grace. She was kind enough to donate. And she's been a pretty active member of my little community that I've built up. So thank you very much, Grace. And I'm going to thank all of my patrons as I do every live stream. So thank you, Matthew, Aiden, Andreas, Isaac, Anthony, Rick, Kevin, Ted, Bryson, Hemulin, Chris, Joggin Chum, GRV Rush 2112, Joseph, Charles, Brian, Mark, Grace, Brian, Jeffrey, Axel, Joseph, Travis, Kelvin, Tomas, Mark, T-Dog, Austin, Depanjan, Battery Acid, Didier, Brent, Robert, Patrick, William, and Sean. So thank everybody who has donated, and if you want to be cool like these awesome people, I've left my Patreon link down below. Every little bit helps. So thank you everybody for donating and for supporting me along this little journey that I've gone under. So I'm going to bring those guys back up at the end of the stream. So yeah, we're just going to chill tonight. We're going to have some good times. We're going to listen to, it's a French album. I've listened to 2 albums from Lazuli. I've listened to Saison 8 and La Fantastique and Vol de Dieterbom. So tonight we are going to be listening to Tant que Helbs es Grasse. I think that's how you pronounce it. And that is, about 5 years of French school, most of which were done in my elementary school, so I probably butchered all of those. So yeah, oh geez, Grace, that's very sad news. I just went back into the chat and it's saying that Lazuli's lead guitar announced that he was leaving the band today. That's really sad to hear because I was really digging the grooves that he was putting down. I hope that they are able to find somebody else. So I'm going to move the speaker up a little bit closer. So they sing the title in the studio album, so you'll get it there. Okay. So here we go. First track. And let me know if it needs to go louder or quieter. I'm going to put it there so that it kind of gets a good... not a founding member, but he's been with them for over 16 years. Okay. I feel like that happens. They've already got someone else lined up. Not heard of them before, though. I'm glad that they have somebody lined up, because that's always the hardest, right? To replace somebody that's been with a band for so long. But, yeah, I love the front cover, because I believe that's Edison, Thomas Edison, that's on the front cover with the cow's skull over top of it. I think that's really cool. Seven Cosmos has asked if I have ever listened to some Italian prog bands and albums. Not quite. Like, I think I've listened to like PFM a couple of times, but that's about it. I really need to get into that because that's a subset of prog that I've never really dipped my toe too far into. Yeah, right off the bat, like, this is the classic Lazuli that I love. So this would actually be the 3rd album of theirs that I've heard then. This one came out in 2014. So yeah, it's got that drive that I really like. Marcelo is asking, on the topic of French bands, one really good one I found recently was Fenner, a folk metal with some cool violins. Ooh, that's really cool. I'll have to check that out as well. Yeah, Steve Morse is not a founding member of Deep Purple, but he's been the lead guitarist for 26 years. Well, yeah. That kind of goes with that saying for sure, Eduardo. Yeah, because I mean, they have a pretty big history with their original lead guitarist, right? Like, there was a huge falling out. And I mean, John Lord, the keyboardist and organist, had to like practically invent or reinvent the Hammond organ to make it loud enough so that he could actually be heard in live sets, because the original, at least that's my understanding, I don't know if it's true or not, but like the original guitarist from Deep Purple would just play so ungodly loud that he would drown out everybody else. Yeah, there's a lot of that's actually a really interesting thought piece. Like, what's a great band member that came into a band that essentially became a founding, like a pivotal band member after the formation of the band? I guess like James LeBray from Dream Theater is a very obvious example of that, because he came in on their second album. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Do I like Magma? They're okay. I have to be in the right mood for Magma, though. So, yeah, I've only really listened to the one album of theirs, but that's about it. Again, I have to be in the right mood, and I haven't really found myself back in that mood. Maybe I'll revisit them, because, I mean, I'm in a very weird mood these days, so maybe I'll go and check it out. Steve Hogarth. Yes. Sorry there, Eduardo. Yeah, Steve Hogarth. What was he from again? I know that, I think he's from Supertramp, isn't he? Pretty sure he is. Anyway. Steve Howe, yes, comes to mind. Very true, Grace. Yes. Hello there, Serbian. Glad to see you on. Same applies for Andreas Kessel from Skeptical. Yeah, not a founding member. Thoughts on the new Hum album? I never heard of them, so can't say that I've got an opinion of that. Marillion for sure, yeah. H. Steve Hogarth. Why? Man, yes, of course he's from. I think he was from Supertramp. I always remember him as H, right? Steve H. So seeing his entire name, I'm like, who is that? Because he always goes by H, right? Yeah, because he kind of, well, he and the band reinvented himself. I can't just give the entire credit to good old Steve there. The whole band themselves reinvented themselves. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some other, like probably David Gilmour as well from Pink Floyd, right? Like he came in partway through Saucer Full of Secrets. So yeah, that's actually a really interesting thought experiment. Maybe I'll have to do a video on that, of like key members of bands that weren't within the formation, like that came in to replace somebody. Yeah. I kind of like that idea. I'll file that our way if I'm ever in a lull and need some material for some, yeah, it's true. Pretty much every member of Yes, apart from Steve Howe. Chris Squire. I was going to say, I thought Chris Squire, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure John Anderson also was, because it wasn't like the three big ones, at least for me, was John Anderson, Chris Squire, and Bill Bruford. I thought those were always the three. And Steve Hackett to a certain extent. Cosmos. I was originally going to put in Steve Hackett, but because Steve Hackett left, like he came in and left, I was trying to think of somebody that's been with the band for as long as possible. But yeah, I guess I would probably put that as well. Phil Collins, Genesis, yeah. Okay, we're into the second track. I keep getting surprised at just how much I actually dig these guys of Lazuli. You know, they still have that very infectious, drive, that infectious rhythm and just energy. Yeah, I forgot about Neil Peart. Yeah, he came in with what was it? Fly by Night. Fly by Night. Yeah, the album that is between the debut and Caress of Steel. Yeah. Senor Bruford rules. He's my favorite drummer, so I agree full-heartedly with that. Listen to Jean-Claude Venner's. I'll have to check that out. That's a good way to put it, Grace. A lot of romance in that, and I wonder if it's just because they're French and they kind of bleed that romantic feel to it. But yeah, I can definitely feel that. Yes, King Crimson and Genesis Cinema Show Kids. Eduardo, cool. What do you do in your spare time other than listen to music? Oh man, I've got too many hobbies. I mean, obviously doing my reviews. I read a lot. Jeez, do I read a lot. That's a bad habit of mine. I recently started a podcast that I hope to launch beginning of August. So that's another thing. I do a lot of role-play games and like tabletop role-playing games. Because I play Dungeons and Dragons every Monday, Wednesday, and we had to move our other game, so every Thursday. But I'm constantly learning new roleplay games as well. So like right now I'm doing a deep dive into the Fantasy Flight Star Wars games, like Edge of the Empire and Age of Rebellion and Force and Destiny. So really learning a lot about that. The only problem is I don't have enough this is going to sound so bad, but I don't have enough friends to play them, because for the most part, they all want to play Dungeons and Dragons, and that's fine. And then every once in a while, we might get a game of Fate or Dread. But I'm like, come on, I want to play like Call of Cthulhu, or I want to play, what's another one that I have? I've got Paranoia that I bought, and I literally haven't cracked the box. Same with Legend of the Five Rings. Like, I haven't cracked that either. I'm loving this play out, by the way. Just loving that. And I also dance. When I was living in Toronto, I would dance every other weekend. A style called Contra, which is a New England style of dance that was brought over from English country dance. So it kind of blends like, let's see here. It blends like square dancing and line dancing with traditional English country dancing. So picture like Jane Austen, flowing big poofy dresses and whatnot, but with that kind of get up yeehaw energy that a line dance or a square dance has. So yeah, that's another thing I used to do, and it's great fun. It's great fun. Marcelo, I was watching one of your old videos and noticed I had Akira manga. It was a DVD. I have the special edition Blu-ray. And yeah, I do. I've fallen off of the bandwagon because I used to love manga and anime when I was in high school and a little bit in... Okay, we're coming into the third track. I'm loving this, by the way. I'm really, really digging this. Yeah, I used to love it. I used to subscribe to like the Shonen Jump when it was pretty popular. So I used to read like all those, and I had a number of manga going on, and I mean Sailor Moon was one of my favorite shows growing up. It still is. Like, I still love that show. And I mean, I love Digimon, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, all the good stuff. And then I just fell in love with like the Studio Ghibli, and one of my favorite movies is like Your Name, and there's been some really good anime lately, like The Beast and His Boy was really good. So yeah, I haven't been into it very much lately. I kind of fell off the bandwagon, so yeah. And yeah, like I said, I'm digging this. I'm really, really digging this. It's a lot of fun. Did I ever read Berserk? No, I didn't. There's a lot of like really popular ones that I never got into. Like, I never got into One Piece, never got into Bleach, never got into Naruto, never got into, and even some popular ones now. Like I never got into Full Metal Alchemist. I watched the first couple of episodes of it and just fell out. What's the big one? That's Attack on Titan, which I need to watch, but I never got into. So yeah, like for anime, it's kind of like on the periphery for me at the moment. I just never got into it. Okay, so Grace has given us a really good kind of rundown of like her favorite Lazuli. This one being the best one, Balm, the one that came out this year, and then which one's that one? Okay, so that's the one that came out in 2016. Nosami Solis, and then Saison 8 or Saison 8. Yeah, Saison 8 was the one that actually got me into the band. But this one's really good. Like, I love the Fantastique of Didier Balm. Love that album. It's one of my favorite albums this year, and it was one of the first ones that came out. But this one's really getting up there. Like, if this continues with the energy and the power that it started with, we got ourselves something really special here, guys. Either one, so you're not too familiar with. That's fair. That's fair. What is your opinion on Anekdoten? Oh, they're fine. They're fine. I found certain bands, and Anekdoten, and was it All Traps, and a few of those other bands, I feel like I love what they do, but they follow the formula that Engelhard started in the mid-90s, and they're just kind of rehashing the same thing kind of over and over again. I still love it. Like, don't discredit it. It's I love the style. I just feel like there's a lot more to be harvested out of that style, and I think that at this point the bands are playing it a little too safe for me, because once you hear the first couple of minutes, you're like, okay, I know pretty much exactly where the song is going, even though the song is so chaotic and all over the place, right? Even though I do like how Anekdoten's a little bit more on the heavy side than the other couple that I've already listed. Yeah, so like I still like Anekdoten. I love what they do, but yeah. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Like, I'm super excited if they ever put out another album, but that's just kind of where I'm at. Like Hubris from Engelhard is still like the peak, and I don't think we've ever kind of gotten past that. You know, it just reminds me of like a lot of progressive rock from the 70s, where now that we've gotten to the peak, we're just kind of rehashing it over and over again. Yeah. Cosmos, first time listening to this album, band already hooked. Fantastic. Yeah, these guys are good. These guys are really, really good. And the last track is their best. Ooh, good. I'm excited to hear it then. Have I listened to much Zool? A little bit. Like, Magma's the only one that I've really gotten an encounter with, so I do need to spend a little bit more time with that subgenre. I just haven't really gotten that. We are getting a machine. The machines of God render. Let's hope it's good. Okay. I just need to sneeze, guys. Oh, that's a good one. All right. Not available in streaming, but just checked on YouTube and can find 2 seminal albums from Pulsar. Eduardo, what is that in relation to? What's not available in streaming? I'm just gonna double check to make sure I didn't miss anything from Eduardo. Was that from an album that I was supposed to listen to? Sorry, bud. Kind of lost the train of thought there. Oh, thank you, Cosmo. Yeah. Yes, if you guys haven't been checking out my Discord, do so. Stick to the rules. I will pop in every once in a while and boot anybody that's not, because it's good vibes only. That's my only rule. Good vibes. Well, I mean, it's not my only rule, but like, you know, nothing homophobic, nothing transphobic, nothing racist, anything like that. No, I'll cut you out immediately. Good vibes only in my Discord. There. Anyway. Uh-oh. Looks like I'm I'm a frozen dude. Hopefully I'm not too frozen. I mean, it says that my signal strength is still good, but we'll see. Come on. There we go. There we go. Now it's all there. Yeah, it looks like I asked a little too much. Yeah, Discord's there. Okay, cool. Let's see. Ah, there we go. I meant Apple Music, Spotify. Pulsar is French. Okay, so talking about Pulsar. Okay, cool. Quite like Anna Dotton, and their first and second album were really got a chance to listen to anything past Gravity. Yeah, because I think the only one that I listened from Anna Dotton was their last album. I didn't listen to anything else, so maybe I'll check that out. Trying to get into Devin Townsend. Any recommendations? Ooh, that's a good... Yep. Elder King's already... those are actually some really good suggestions, because that kind of covers his discography. I would agree Ziltoid is probably huge. Go for Ziltoid. I would actually also say, like, listen to Teria as well, or Kai. Like, those are my two favorites. Empath was really, really good as well. I wasn't a big fan of Epic Cloud, especially the couple of albums that he put out in that kind of vein, like Transcendence and Sky Blue are lukewarm for me, but that's just me. Larks or Red. I'm a Larks guy. That's great. No, Larks is fantastic. For me, it's Red. Larks, I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of that style of King Crimson. I feel like they're a little bit more so on the jazzy approach, and I'm like throwing things on the wall and just seeing what sticks. And I feel like Red is much more of like a conduced, realized form of the band. I still appreciate and love Larks, but I mean, if I had to choose between the two, I'll choose Red. Yeah, and Transcendence from Heavy Devi is like it's so weird, right? Because it's one of the few that I don't own on vinyl. Because when it first came out, I didn't get the point. Like, I'm like, why do we have this when it's pretty much the exact same as Sky Blue and Epic Cloud? Like, I didn't quite get it. I didn't quite see what the point was, especially with every other album from Devi being so different, like so vastly different. So yeah, I need to go back and re-listen to it, because I do know that Transcendence was the first record that my cousin listened to, and that's what got him into Heavy Devi. So I know that it's got its merits. I just need to go back and really get into it. Because Higher, I think, is the big track off of that album that I really liked. And I like when he played it live. I thought that was really good. Let's see here. They were doing Starless before recording in studio. Yeah, that's fair. I love Lizard. Yeah, I love Lizard from King Crimson. Wow, you've got a lot. Are you much into shoegaze? It's fine. I never really got into them, so I don't really have too much of a point of reference. But yeah, they're fine. Red is a better album to recommend. I think Larks is much more nuanced, though. I would agree that Lark's tongue is a little bit more nuanced. Red is a lot more kind of like straightforward, which is probably one of the reasons why I like it. Eduardo, I already did that. Nice try. Yeah, and it's interesting because, like, out of all of King Crimson's albums, one of my favorite albums, and it was like number 2 of my favorites, is Islands, because it takes the things that I love most about both Red and Lark's Tongue, because it is a very realized, cohesive, finalized product, but it's also extremely nuanced. So that's part of the reason why I love Islands so much. So yeah, excuse me. Oh boy, and it also seems like my strength level for this is not necessarily the best. So yeah. How many people do we got right now? 13. Not bad. Okay. Doing all right. Passion play. I've already did that one, Eldorado. You got to check through my unedited notes. Yeah. Abacab Masterpiece Theater. Nice try. Yeah. You guys already know my thoughts about Abacab. I probably should go back and listen to that again. I always give Abacab, and this is true. This is true. I give like those albums that I don't connect with, that have mass critical acclaim. I give them a spin every once in a while, you know. Like a prime example is Road of Bones from IQ. People have listed that as being their favorite IQ album. It's like up there as being like one of the all-time masterpieces. I don't get it. It's not for me. I thought that the structure is all wrong. The titles are or the tracks are just I don't know, rehashes of tracks they've already done. Same with Marillion's Fear. Not a big fan of that one, but I know a lot of people love that one. It just doesn't connect with me. And Abacab is another prime example. I know a lot of people love Abacab. So like once every other year or once every 3 years or so, I give these another spin just to see if whatever it was that I was missing, I can see, I can understand, I can get, and it still hasn't quite happened. Bonalia, why do you really dislike the whole Abacab album? I do. I don't really think there's any real saving grace off of Abacab. Like, the title track is fun but repetitive, and I don't get it. The only track on there that, in my mind, this is a great track right here, by the way. The only track that kind of perks my ears is Me and Sarah Jane, and it's a little bit on the boring side when it starts off, and it builds to a nice finish, but I don't know, it just takes too long to get there, and it's just not for me. Yeah, it's not for me. I find it really hard to review things from an objective point of view. It is hard. It is hard. And I mean, you can never be 100% objective, because otherwise you wouldn't really have anything to talk about outside of the technical aspect of that. And you have to be subjective in some ways. And really, that's what people are tuning in for. At least that's what I found within my reviews. So what I find is better is you try to figure out why it is you feel the way that you do, and then talk about that. So yeah. Am I a fan of any Icelandic music such as Björk and Sigur Rós? I love Sigur Rós. I've got a couple of their albums on. Let's see here. I've got a couple of their albums on vinyl. I really liked them when I was finishing up my undergrad. Really, really fun. And I just haven't really gotten into Björk. And it's just mainly I just haven't had time. Ultra Fire as Masterpiece Theater. Try again. Eduardo, dude, you gotta check out my my videos. I've already done all those. Fear of Rules. I'm glad that you connected with it. It just wasn't quite for me. It's easier to write about live events, which can no longer do. Yeah. Switching to album reviews has been a huge learning curve. It's true. Yeah. I used to love talking about the live event because you can write about what you connected with, and it's more about the experience that was there. And you can talk a lot more about the technical aspects, you know, like how do they perform live and that type of stuff. So yeah. Let's see here. What's the most emotional music for you to listen to? It depends on my mood. Yeah, it really depends on my mood. Basically, it's how much do I connect with it, because most music, not all music, but most music does derive from an emotional core. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of like saying what's the most fruity fruit, right? So yeah, it just really, like, I mean, if you're thinking about like pure raw emotion, country is very emotional, but it's just not really for me. I guess you just have to, yeah, whatever it is that you're connecting with. Listen to the big albums from Marillion, such as Fear, Script, Childhood, and I thought it sounded the same. Should probably try them another try. My favorite album, or at least one of my favorite albums, is Marbles from Marillion. I also really like Misplaced Childhood. So, although you already listed Misplaced Childhood. Another one that I really like from them that doesn't really get the love that I think it deserves is Happiness is the Road. Now, I know I'm biased because I contributed with it, and you can actually find my name in the liner notes there. But I still felt like that was a really great album. And I loved what some of the things that they were doing with Sounds That Can't Be Made. But yeah. I would try just other ones. But I mean, if you don't connect with it, you don't connect with it. Eduardo, I see a pattern. Watch your shows. Awesome. That's nice. I think objectivity comes within a claim. For example, I'd call Dark Side of the Moon more of an important album than Wish You Were Here. However, I think Wish You Were Here is better in every way. Agreed entirely with your statement on that one. Dark Side of the Moon is kind of overrated, though. Good album, but not the best rock album ever made. Again, I would agree. Like, I love Dark Side of the Moon. It was... Again, I'm loving this album, by the way. Just, I need to, like, go back and listen to this. I would agree. Again, I'm biased because Dark Side of the Moon was one of my first Pink Floyd albums. I think it might have been the first Pink Floyd album that I listened to. And I love it, and it is more of an important album for what it did for the music landscape overall, because it did more for the musical landscape overall than I think Wish You Were Here did. But I will also agree that Wish You Were Here is better in practically every sense of the word than when you're comparing it to Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, like, out of the two, I will always listen to Wish You Were Here before I listen to Dark Side of the Moon. The Man from Planet Marzipan. I also love A Sane Satellite 1, I think it is. And the first disc is just from front to back a brilliant disc from Happiness is the Road. I do wonder about the last track, of like the title track of Happiness is the Road. It hasn't aged quite out of that well. And I also like Whatever Is Wrong With You. That's a really good one. I wonder what I would consider the best prog rock album. I don't know. Whoa. Siamese Dream is my second favorite album, but I'd never be a lunatic to call it more of an important rock album than Dark Side or Nevermind even. Yeah. Yeah, because it's really, like, there's those linchpin albums that really change the landscape of music, right? And I don't know if we really had any lately. Like, I don't want to be that old curmudgeon that's like, music's not what it was like before. But, like, I'm trying to think of, like, the last front-to-back album that really changed the landscape of music. I can't really think of any. Thoughts on Kate Bush? I love Kate Bush. I have her Ariel album on vinyl. Love it. That's probably my favorite of hers. Like, I do still enjoy some of her other ones, like what is it, the Red Shoes, and there's a few other ones. Like, I can picture there's the one where it's just her in pastel. There's the other one where she's like hugging a guy. Yeah, I really like what she did in the music landscape in the 80s. Really beautiful voice. Yeah, really like her. Question for notes. That's me. Outside of prog sphere, what's your take on Canadian legends such as Moxie, Max Webster, Triumph, and closer to prog Saga? I love Saga. I have their first album, The Perfectionist, is just brilliant. Love Max Webster and Kim Mitchell. I think, it's just that fun kind of dock rock is what I always call it. Like, kind of like that classic rock station stuff. Not too... Whoa, people are really talking there. I never really got into Moxie or Triumph as much. Other Canadian legends I like are like Matt Wilcox. Not Matt Wilcox. That's a childhood friend of mine. Wilcox. What's his face? Why can't I think of his name? He wrote Breakfast at the Circus. Having breakfast at the circus with the lions and the clowns. Elaine Pipe. Why can't I? It's Wilcox, right? That was his last name. What is it? David Wilcox. That's it. David Wilcox. Oh boy, love that. Lots of fun there. And I also love Klaatu. Klaatu is one of my all-time favorite bands. So, and I don't think they get enough recognition. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to plow through some of these because we got a whole bunch all at once. Love listening to music not in English because it makes me focus on the melodies rather than the music. I agree. That's part of the reason why I love Mars Volta. Opeth Backwater Park changed my life a bit, but not sure how defining a genre it was in 2001. I agree. Yeah. like I'm trying to remember those albums that changed genres or like made a giant impact versus those that were just like pivotal, right? Because there was a lot of music that sounded like Blackwater Park at that time. I just think it was the best encapsulation of what that style of prog death metal was doing in and around that time. Oh man, this is fun. For some reason, my instinct, I stray away from prog metal, even though I am missing out on some great music and not listening to it. What would you recommend to get you into the genre? The one that got me into the genre was Opeth's Watershed. It's very heavy, but it was the one, like tracks such as Burden and Hassian Peel were mellow enough that I was able to get into it. Another one that got me into it was Between the Buried and Me's Colors. Now these are extreme metal, like these are huge metal. If you're looking for just like regular metal, like the quote unquote prog metal, you can't go wrong with Dream Theater. And like the three staple ones are like Images and Words, Metropolis Part 2, and I'd even go for Octavarium. Maybe Systematic Chaos. Symphony X, like the Odyssey and Divine Wings of Tragedy. Symphony X is also a really good one for just like straight up metal. So yeah, those would be my choices. And also just try like Porcupine Tree's last two albums. They were very metal. Fear of a Blank Planet and The Incident. Hounds of Love, that was the one I was thinking of from Kate Bush. Thank you. Well, it was outside of the rock spectrum, but To Pimp a Butterfly. Yeah, I think that might have been the one that I'm thinking of. I still haven't listened to it. I need to listen to that one. Because I know a lot of people are really, really loving it. Yeah. Got into Kate thanks to Steven. Really interesting. I got into Kate Bush with a lot of her work with Peter Gabriel because they did a couple duets. The only harsh vocals I can listen to are Devin Townsend and Red. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Calling Occupants. Yep, that's from Klaatu. Really, really good. Days would probably be a pivotal album from the mid 2000s. Oh, Demon Days. I'm not familiar with that one. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't know that one. I swear Opeth, everybody's gateway into it is true. It is true, Grace. Yeah, that was my gateway into it, at least. I'll definitely check out David Wilcox. New information for me. Love it. Yeah, David Wilcox is, as I mentioned, Canadian dock rock. My favorite tracks from him are like Laying Pipe and A Breakfast at the Circus. Yeah, I really hope that Symphony X's new album, Underworld, I think came out in like 2016. So it's been a while since we've had any Symphony X. Interesting. Saw them in 2019, last year, working on new material. Good. Very exciting about that. Octavarium, song that reminisces with Shining Crazy Time. Oh yeah, there's a lot of reminiscence of Octavarium throughout the musical landscape. Huge. What do you think about In Absentia, which I have learned to pronounce after all these years? I still think of it as In Absentina. But In Absentia, it's good. It's good. It's a pivotal, for me, it's a pivotal summer album, so I'll listen to it during the summertime, because I really, really do love it. I love how, kind of on the one hand, experimental and all over the place it is, because like it's got like Wedding Nails and Gravity Eyelids are very metal, but then they've got such somber and heartfelt tracks like Trains and Collapse Light into Earth. So good. It's like, if you're looking for an album that really encapsulates the entirety of a Porcupine Tree as an essence, I think that one is the one. Now they've done better albums in my opinion, but I think that's the album that really was what Porcupine Tree is. Let's see here. Do you sometimes judge albums you haven't heard by their album cover? Sometimes not really. Like I'll get excited if I see a really nice album cover, and I've bought albums based on their album covers, but generally I don't base the music that's found in it by their album cover. Yeah. Underworld is so good. It is. Yeah, I really like that one, especially after the not so great album of Iconoclast. Like, it's fine, but especially coming off the heels of Paradise Lost. Oh, so good. So good. It's by Gorillaz. Oh, okay. Yes, I am familiar with Gorillaz, but I'm not a big fan of Gorillaz. And we're up to the last track, you guys. This is the big one. This is the big one. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Because Grace was saying that this is the best song from Lazuli, so I'm excited to hear this. Blackest Eyes is my favorite Porcupine Tree song. Yeah, I hear that was actually the last song that was written for the album. So I always love when like the opening track is the last one, because they can take everything that they've learned and done from the album and put it on there. Let's see here. The band that opened me up to harsh vocals was Arch Enemy. Interesting. Okay, that's fair. Great non-prog album, Floating into the Night by Julie Cruz. I'm not that one. Oh, cool. I love Twin Peaks. I love Twin Peaks. It's up there with like my top 5 TV shows of all time. So, yeah. What do I think Mike Portnoy playing on the new Petrucci album? Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Like, just gonna turn that down. I can see where this song is. This is a great song, by the way. Loving that. Loving that. Yeah, I know that those two are like lifelong friends. Like, I think they met when they were in their late teenage, so I'm not surprised. I'm surprised it took this long for the two of them to work together again on the project. Unless they were going to go back to like Liquid Tension Experiment, or because I knew that Mike wasn't going to go back to Dream Theater, but I'm so pleased to see that he's going to be playing with Petrucci. Because I've seen Petrucci play with Mike Mangini, with G3, and it's fine, but I feel like Mike Portnoy brings out such new life to Petrucci, and vice versa. I think both of them challenge one another in a way that I don't think anybody else could. So, really, really enjoying that. I'm really, really excited for that. Yeah. Oh, the Twin Peaks song is from that album. I'll have to check that out then. Because, like I said, I have the soundtrack. I have the soundtrack of, like the TV soundtrack for Twin Peaks, because I love it so much. Said that Mexican tour. I know your dad will get that last one. Oh, okay, cool. I missed Liquid Tension Experiment. They should make a third album. They did make a third album, but I don't think Petrucci was on that album. I think it was just Tony Levin, Mike Portnoy, and Jordan Rudess. So I think they did make a third album, but it was just the three of them. I don't know if it was any good, but yeah, I don't think Liquid Tension Experiment really works unless you have the four of them. And I have heard, yes, you're right. I have heard a lot of people saying that it's pretty much been confirmed, and I think the linchpin in this, though, either Mike and John Petrucci, either they were already, but this is just fantastic, by the way. I'm really loving this. I have a feeling either they were working together for this Liquid Tension Experiment, and then both Mike and John were like, we still have more to say, so let's just do a solo project for John. Or John and Mike were playing together on this, and they're like, man, why haven't we done this? Let's get Jordan and let's get Tony back, and let's do this. So, which I love, because I love Tony Levin. He's up there with probably like my top 5 favorite bassists. Yeah, so. Oh, is this the guy that left the... Oh, that's a shame, because this is brilliant. This is beautiful. Oh, this is so good. Yeah, this is definitely one of those moments where you want to close your eyes and just let the music wash over you. It looks like we still have quite a bit of time. Like, we've got about a minute and a half left to go. So, this is... I love tracks that do this. I really think this is like a beautiful closing piece. This was great. Yes, this guitar solo slaps. It sure does. This is so good. Yeah, the rhythm guitar player is Stain, so it's all good, but the leads, yeah, that's always, sucks. I'm so sorry. Yeah, this is brilliant. I am 100% going back and listening to this from the beginning. This is a great play out. Like, even though I'm not a big fan of fade outs, I can get behind this fade out. I can get behind this fade out. Do you know the band Astra? I've heard of them. I don't think I've actually like sat down and listened to them, but I have heard of Astra. Anyway, so that is man, Grace, you're killing me here with this album title. Tant Grasse. I think that's it. Oh boy, that was fun. All right, so some final thoughts. Brilliant. Love that album. That is one I'm 100% going to go back and listen to the whole thing. I think everybody else will. Really great stuff. And I'm going to go and put on the album that I have not been able... Yeah, I know. That I have not been able to get out of my head. I'm going to move the speaker a little bit further away so that I don't get pinged by the YouTube fairies for copyright infringements. Yeah, that was brilliant. That was really brilliant. I can see why that would be a lot of people's favorites album from them. I need to go back and listen to that so I can get a full picture, like a full view picture instead of just like the aerial view. I want to get into that album and explore it, every nook and cranny. Excuse me. Oh boy. All right. Let's see here. So I think we're going to wind this party down. I want to thank everybody for coming on out tonight, joining in the conversation. We had a great conversation, you guys. That was a lot of fun. I love some of the discussions that we had, a lot of the question and answers. I'm going to give a big shout out to Grace. She was very active in the chat tonight, so thank you so much for coming out, everybody, especially to Grace, and for suggesting this album to listen to. That was a lot of fun. And Grace supported me, so I wanted to give her a thanks and a shout out, and I figured this would be the best way to do that. And so she joins the ranks of all these really cool cats. I always feel like Carol Baskin whenever I do that. Hey, cool cats and critters. Carol Baskin. Anyway, getting off topic here. So thank you, Grace, and thank you everybody for supporting me. Especially those who have supported me financially. John, I'm going to start from the bottom this way and work my way up. So Sean, William, Patrick, Robert, Brent, Didier, Battery Acid, Depanjan, Austin, T-Dog, Mark, Tomas, Kelvin, Travis, Joseph, Axel, Jeffrey, Brian, Grace, Mark Foy. I believe Mark, every time I see that name, I'm reminded of the album that he's done, The Lonely Swing. If you haven't already had a listen to it, go and check it out. It's pretty fun. Brian, Charles, Joseph, GRV, Rush 2112, Joggin' Chum, Chris, Hemulin, Bryson, Ted, Kevin, Rick, Anthony, Isaac, Andreas, Aiden, and Matthew. Thank you guys all so much. I'm sure reading all these names are just like, oh, there's so many names, but really it means so very much. And if you want to be like these awesome people, I've left the link down below that you can support me. Each tier in the supporting gets you new things. I'm also starting a podcast, which I'm pretty excited for. I had this idea after listening to spoiler alerts. I'm going to take this down, but thank you. Yeah, I had this, let's see, Masterpiece Theater show on side. Okay, whoa, hooray, start donating next month. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm glad that you've got a stable income. That really does mean a lot. Somebody who has lost that, I know how difficult that can be. So yeah, I'm starting a podcast. And I'm pretty excited for you guys to listen to it. I did a deep dive into music-splaining. Lindsay Ellis's podcast with her childhood friend of Kava. I'm having a ball with that one, and I found a very similar style for my podcast, so I'm hoping to release that in August. I'll be sending out more information soon. I've already recorded and edited 2 episodes, so I always like to have a buffer of about 5 videos in the wings, so I'm doing that for my podcast. So yeah, hopefully that'll get going by then. And yeah, I think that's all I got. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming out. This was a lot of fun. If you want to, I'll have one more live stream that I need to do, and that's going to be coming out hopefully Tuesday. But if you follow me on Twitter, I'll be letting you guys know on Twitter when that's happening. So that's where I'm going to end it. Thank you guys so much for coming out and hanging out. It was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too. And I guess until next time, notes out. Oh, Ellery King. Just as I was going to say notes out and stop the recording. Any sneak peeks on topics? I talk about Prague. That's what I got. Okay, I'm going to end it there. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Bye.